Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Gent Forge Podcast. I'm joined today with my wonderful partner in crime.
Sean Odmishi, glad to be here, Joe. What's up, dude?
That's right, and I am Joe Wallace. How's it going, guys? Again, we're here to talk about all the wonderful things that make Gent Forge so great. We can make businesses shine, forge them, make them even stronger. And what better way to do that, Sean, right, than to bring people on podcasts as well to talk
Did
about
I
their
mention that
successes.
March 6th we're having another event?
That's right. We are having another event, March 6th. Boom, right there down below. Take a look. Go to gentforge.net, guys. Check it out. We'll talk more about it a little bit later. Does that sound about right, Sean?
That sounds good. And remember, we're here to talk about small business challenges and how to overcome them together. And today's exciting because we got some really cool we're going to talk to. So
That's right. Without further ado, let's bring up our wonderful guest today. His name is Norbert from Rivera Real Estate Group. And hey, Norbert, how's it going, man?
What's
Hey,
up,
how's it
man?
going, Joe, Sean? How are y'all both doing?
Hey, man, doing good. How are you?
Can't
Dude,
complain.
I'm trying to stay warm right now. It's a little chilly out there.
It's getting cold. It's getting cold. This is exciting. We're glad that you're here. Thank you so much for willing to come out and talk to us.
Absolutely. No, I mean, I think it's so important because there's so many entrepreneurs that are really taking a step, into, and it's a huge step, taking that transition from maybe a regular 8 to 5 job and wanting to do something on their own. We went to that. I know we'll talk a little bit about that in the future, but it's, there's some really great parts about it. There's some things you got to be prepared before you take that step. It can be a roller coaster sometimes.
It sure can be.
Absolutely. So
100%.
yeah, I mean, it's I think, well, man, I can't believe I've already been in real estate starting our 9th year, and time
9 years.
yeah, March is going to be starting our 9th year, man, and it just seems like I can't believe it's almost 10 years, in the business, and it's, I spent almost just 17 years in the hospitality in the hotel business before making that transition. I can't believe we're halfway there.
That's really exciting. And
Wow.
just let me say
Wow,
kudos
man.
to you, man, for 9 years on your own, man. That's awesome.
Well, hold on. Let's take a moment and appreciate that he just said 17 years in the hospitality industry, and I know that's a crazy ball game right there as well. What got you started in that industry?
Well, way back a long time ago, got out of college looking to do something different. Didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. Um, and so, got a job at a hotel, and it's like, this is pretty cool. You're working with in a beautiful looking place. It was a golf resort out in San Antonio. And it was fun. You just really got to a new experience every single day. And next thing you know, hey, you get that. There's an opportunity for promotion. All right, let's go get that, right? And next thing you know, then a year and a half later, there's another one. And you kind of get further down there, and it's fun. And then you get the opportunity to go travel. So, I was in San Antonio for a good amount of my career, but then we also went down to South Beach or to Fort Lauderdale, then South Beach, New Orleans, back to San Antonio. I mean, some really, really great locations. I mean, you can't get any better, partying out there than South Beach and New Orleans, right? So, did that for many, many years.
Well, awesome. And I hear, yeah, I can definitely appreciate what you said about New Orleans, especially because my experience with that is like every weekend there's it seems like there's a completely separate event that's happening.
Something's
Something to
happening.
celebrate every weekend.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If not, you can go celebrate it Tuesday, over on Bourbon Street, right? So have a bourbon on Bourbon Street.
Right. Even better.
I
Yeah.
could
Well,
use
so that
one
means
right
that
now.
you eventually did transition. I know that you were looking, so what caused you to go from that to real estate? Because I know they seem like they might be somewhat connected, but they're definitely different.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of similarities to it, and I think we're going with any self-employed business entrepreneur, you have to have the customer service, right? So that was a huge part for it. Me personally, I was going through a transition in my life, going through a separation at the time, and it was really a great opportunity for me. kind of have a new beginning. And right around that time, I was kind of at the point of saying, is this the direction I wanted to continue going? With hospitality, you get to a point where you have to start moving around even more so. Like I mentioned, I moved to several different great places. But at that time in my life, I think it was more like, okay, I need to get closer back to my family. I was, they're here in the Houston area, and I was living in San Antonio. And while it's not that far away, obviously it was just a lot of personal things going on. And in the process of selling my home for that separation, my realtor said, "Hey, you got to think about real estate." And said, "You know what? Why not take the plunge? Let's try it out. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? I get back in hotels." And you know what? I'm so glad I did it. As a matter of fact, I should have done it about 10 years before.
So definitely a positive transition. Well, then I guess the next question is obvious to any of the other small business owners in the crowd, especially after the fact or watch this after the fact. So how crazy did it get for you? I know, like, owning your own business, totally different ball game. A lot of unexpected things start rearing their heads. What was that like?
Well, I think a little bit was just understanding a whole brand new world, right? I go from knowing, I still say I could jump into any hotel right now and run it like the back of, and know it well enough like the back of my hand. But coming into a whole completely different industry, you're learning new things, just the technical side about the real estate side. Then you're starting to learn more and more about, how to form and manage your own business. When you're working with budgets and different things in hotels, that's fine. It's not your money. When you have to pay those bills, you're looking at the bank account. And, I know that the real estate looks like a lot of partying and there's always some type of happy hour going on somewhere. And they are. But if you're there, you're not selling. So that's the big part, right? So you got to make sure you're bringing that business in. And for me, when I came back into town, where I'm born and raised here in Fort Bend County, it had been so long. I lost a lot of my connections that I had. I didn't really, 25 years ago, you're not thinking what's going to happen in 20 years. So it's kind of one of those deals where I really had to start that business up from scratch, and a lot of sweat equity, a lot of getting out, and learning how to talk to people was easy, but learning to find somebody who's willing to trust you with a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 house was completely different. And like I said, just managing the day-to-day of making sure this bill gets paid, that bill gets paid, making sure that you understand what your budget is, and then finding your vendors, finding people you can trust, because everybody's going to sell you on the greatest service that they do, but is it really what they sell you? Does that service really match what they're saying?
100%. And that's exactly one of the biggest challenges I think a lot of people find is, one, finding competent people to be able to put their name right next to theirs, right? And
Right.
then definitely maintaining that, like you mentioned earlier, that excellent client, customer service, right? You're trying to make sure that everybody is happy with the work, not just that you're doing, but also the work that the other people are doing. So on that note, I think what could you tell someone just coming in to, say, their own business or growing their business? What are some of the things that you discovered, especially in your time in the hospitality and real estate, really kind of makes or breaks somebody when it comes to customer service?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think there's two things, at least going into the real estate side, right? Is you can do everything that you need to for free. And what that means is right now, even to this day, if I pick up this phone, I'm going to get at least 10 phone calls today trying to sell me some type of service to buy this, buy that, do this, get these leads. At the end of the day, if you can just sit down and have the discipline, that's the hardest part, is having the discipline to wake up every morning, go to work, treat it like a business. It's not a hobby. Treat this like a business. the amount of clients you can pick up quickly, take care of them, and give them a good quality service is so easy. It's the easy part, but that discipline is the hardest thing to do, because you get those days where it's like day like today. It's 30 degrees outside this morning when I walk. Do I want to go outside? Absolutely not. But you know what? I know that there's gonna be a lot of other realtors that are gonna stay inside and just stay in their pajamas and watch TV. And I'm like, I'm gonna be out there, having my cup of coffee, and let's get some leads going. I would say someone coming in new to it is, don't worry about branding. You're not going to be the next Ryan Serhant. We want everybody to do well, but you know what? Let's make sure we get you doing the right things, getting in there, making those phone calls, making those connections. Those connections are going to be there. If you make those connections, the systems work, and it's just a matter of making the phone calls, knowing what you're talking about. Because if you can give the right advice to people, and they trust you with selling or buying their house, they're going to love you if you do it the right way. And then making sure you ask them for a referral. That's so important, because that is the least expensive way to market, is if you know how to treat somebody right, treat them with respect, do your business with integrity, and you can deliver the results. People are going to love you for that.
I want to touch base real quick. You talked about sitting in your pajamas and while it's cold outside. And one thing that always comes to my mind is when Joe and I first started Tap Solutions, he looked at me and goes, if we don't work, we don't eat. And that really resonates. And I think that's one of the challenges that when you move into small business ownership is you learn real quick that if you're not willing to be motivated and go out there and do this, there's no paycheck. That's a true awakening for a lot of people that, I'm not going to get paid in 2 weeks unless I actually do what I need to do. Right.
Well, you bring up a great point. I think, what I'll tell you right now is, the failure rate in real estate is incredible. It's almost like an 80% failure rate, right? And you almost kind of get the reverse 80-20 rule. 80% of your business comes to 20% of your clients. But here it's 80% of those realtors, they're in it for less than a year. And then after another 2 years, there's another batch of realtors that just fall out, right? It's at some point, it's just not working. You did 1 or 2 deals, and that when you look at statistically, it's a little crazy. The average realtor will sell about 3 homes a year, and they're on the poverty line. Here's a crazy statistic. 2024 was one of our more challenging years we've had in the last 30 years. There's so many different things went into it. Interest rates, prices just kind of continue to go crazy. There's an election year, right? Election years are, you just kind of realize those are all going to slow down, because people, they need a little bit to understand what direction their job's going to go, the country's going to go, things like that. 74% of realtors did not sell a single home last year. That's crazy. I mean, to your point, Sean, how do you eat? How can you provide for your family if you don't have that going on? And we've been blessed that we've got a good business. 80% of our business last year, while we had a slower year than we would have liked, 80% of our business came from referrals, and we still helped out around 25 families find the next home, buy and sell the next home. So, we were blessed that happened. Definitely not happy. We want to go out, and our goal is to go through 40 homes a year. But it is one of those things that it's staggering when you start hearing some of those numbers.
Those are massive numbers, and I think part of the reason why a lot of them dropped off is because they were going to the cocktail parties and they weren't actually working, like you said.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Like I said, I'm all about going to the cocktail parties, but you know what? Make sure you do it with some money in your wallet, right? Go and make sure you've got those leads, and you've got people, and you got business in your pipeline.
Yeah, and I think the other piece you mentioned is about customer success, and retention is so important. Really, making sure that you take care of the ones that you get and they're your actual customers. We deal with that all the time. Matter of fact, we're in the same boat. You got to take care of the customers. You really got to, because if you don't, they'll leave. They'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, there's always someone who's going to sell them the next TAF solutions, right? As soon as you get complacent, boom, there's someone else calling them saying, "Hey, we can do this and we can do that for you," right? Same thing with the realtor. There's 50,000 realtors in Houston. That's absolutely
That's
astonishing.
staggering.
It is. And, when you manage, and then when you realize, okay, 80% of them, we'll call it 75, didn't sell a single home. Okay, so then you start breaking down numbers. You start realizing how many of them actually do this full time. And you do have those, that are, hey, well, I'm just here when my family buys a house. Fair enough. They're kind of dabbling. Maybe they're going to make that career change. Maybe not. Fair enough. We've all been there, and those are big changes, lifestyle changes to make. But when you really get down to the nitty gritty and start saying, okay, how many people are doing this full time? And out of those full time, how many people are actually, making a living out of this? It's very, very few.
That's very interesting you say that. I want to go back and also say what you just said really harkens back to the disciplinary view of this. Like, you have to have that discipline, getting up every morning, do what you got to do. And even if it's not in the morning, you can have crazy hours, but still, as long as you're doing it every day, is the important thing. I akin it to the same discipline necessary that if you're going to go to the gym and be successful, is a very similar kind of mindset that you're going to get up, you're going to do it, you're going to be consistent. And if you don't, well, you're not going to see success. Like, if you're going to the gym, you're not going to see
get the results,
the gains. Yeah. And in this case, with the business, you're going to have very little results. The parties are the fun part, but what I love is the feeling when I go to those parties after I've done all the crap I don't want to do, to then really enjoy the party.
Yeah, I mean, and I can tell you, like I said, there's always some type of networking event, and there's always this, and there's always that. And at the end of the day, my goal is to say, that's great. I'll go to those every now and then. I'm part of a couple of networking groups, but we're here for business. We'll go celebrate. We'll drink a beer, and then I'm going to be gone, and and I've got to go do some other sale thing here or there. Or what people don't realize. I may not be having that martini in my hand. I'm actually at home working on some marketing stuff at 10 o'clock at night. My wife's ready to go to bed, and I'm working, because, we are, while our team's growing, we're not at that point where we've got, the marketing manager here, the director of operations. We've got this. That's me. I've got on all those hats. And it's a matter as to, are we doing this in the right order? Because, again, I'll give you a perfect example. If I want to go start working on my marketing at 10 o'clock in the morning, that's something I could do at 10 o'clock at night. Maybe I should be calling my clients at 10 o'clock in the morning and booking those showings, or saying, hey, you know what, Joe, we met at an open house, and, I know you really love that house. Let's go put an offer in. So it's that discipline of knowing what you what you want to do. And it is so easy to just get to the point of saying, I want to do the fun. I always say that the sexy things that there are, we're just kind of out hanging at this cool looking $1 million house. And you can do that, but there's going to be people that are there, and they're not going to be in the career, in 2 months later.
When you're talking about wearing multiple hats, I started giggling. I was thinking about people that have like hats. Have you seen where the customer service is, can I talk to your boss? They turn around, say 1 second, turn around, they switch. How can I help you?
Yeah.
I could see Norbert, you doing that. It's like you put on the next hat, the marketing hat.
We can do that. Next time we do this, I'm going to bring a couple of different hats, and we'll change it one time.
Absolutely.
I mean, but that's the world, right? I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, unless you're starting out with, some major capital behind you, you're the CFO, you're the CEO, you're the CMO, right? You're the one who's got to be, hey, I've got to do this marketing. That's great. How much is it going to cost? That's your CFO hat coming on. And now all of a sudden, who's the COO? Well, that's me too. I better go find some business to go do. And what are the processes? And is that being done right? And I mean, it's my hotel experience was a huge benefit to me, because I can take a look and realize, okay, what's our ROI on some of these things? What is it worth? $300 here every single month? Is that $500 worth it? or can I use that somewhere else? And I think that's where just having that knowledge of business is so crucial when you get into this, because like I said, there are some really good salespeople out there that will try to sell you every, if it's a new lead, if it's a new platform, if it's a new this, here's our marketing services. We're gonna guarantee you this many leads. You know what? They can't guarantee anything. The reality is you got to go out there, do the hard work, just like everybody else.
I just want to add one thing, Joe, if I may. And I know you talked about discipline. And I totally agree with you on that. Discipline is so important. And, one of our challenges that we have is when people take on tools, they pay for a tool and they don't use it. And we've had the same issues too. It's like you have to also know about yourself and really know how much you can take on. Even with clients, we talk about that all the time. Do I have the capacity to take on another client? Do I have the capacity to do this new project? Totally get you, man. It's learning about yourself too, and what you can and what you can't do.
And then a major thing that I really see with all of that is kind of making sure when you're doing the multiple hat trick, the time is always a factor. And I really appreciate what you said earlier, by the way, Norbert, when you talked about timing with clientele. Like maybe I should be talking to people at this time period versus, realizing late at night or thinking about it later on, going, oh no, And we've all had those aha moments where it's kind of like, should have done this, didn't do it the way I needed to. Now I feel terrible, because I didn't do, or especially when you're miscommunicating with somebody because the time has slipped by, You were being proactive or active anyway, maybe reactive, less proactive, but it's definitely something that I think a lot of people struggle with. And what's really hard for a lot of folks that we've seen, especially, is community engagement, really getting that social and networking aspect down. Not just networking, because everybody loves to go network, parties aside, right? And I think the main thing is that social media thing is something that you've really been into. And I wanted to hear a little bit about kind of how you've involved your community in kind of building, success in your real estate business, and how, what kind of things are you doing in that realm?
Yeah. So as far as the social media goes, right, there's only so many, just listed postcards I can send out or just listed posts I can do, right? At the end of the day, those are great. And that means we've got business coming in and they do serve a purpose, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, you've got to demonstrate to people that the area. And you can only do that by getting out. I mean, here at the coffee shop that I work at, I'm usually here three days a week at least, right? I get to see these people coming in and we talk to them. I know them. I know where they live because I've seen them now, almost every couple of days we see them. I think the biggest part is understanding, how do you communicate that out? How can I get into Sean's DMs? How can I get in front of his social media where he says, hey, you know what? This guy knows exactly what's going on in my neighborhood. This guy knows exactly the stuff that's happening in the community that I am. It'd be like me trying to go market up in Dallas. I can market in Dallas. There's nothing wrong with that. But am I positioning myself to be that best realtor for there? Because I don't know it. But if I can take the platforms that we have, right? We've done so much in the last 20 years, considering, okay, you've got going from MySpace, for most people may not even remember what that is. But now we've got Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or X, you name all of these platforms. There's a different way to get out there. And there's different content to be putting out there, right? What I put on Facebook may not necessarily go on LinkedIn, and vice versa. What I put on Facebook may not be the best to go onto TikTok, but it's a matter as to saying, okay, do we have our systems put in place? What are we sharing to make sure we're getting as much exposure as we can? I think we've really hit something, in the last 6 months to a year, because we've really focused in on getting more followers on our Instagram page. We're starting to see that, I set a goal earlier this year that we want to hit 1,000 followers, on Instagram. And I'm seeing in the last I'd say in the last, month and a half, we've gotten to the point where we've gotten 60 followers in the last month and a half. We started at 800 this year. Now we're at 860. I'm kind of thinking my goal is to hit 1,000 by April. Let's go hit 2,000 this year. We need to go put more information out there. And it's understanding, okay, what is that we can do to get in front of people? Are we doing the right tags? Because my goal is that if we can get that social media side working, and it's never a set and forget, but if we can get that going as automatic as possible, I can focus on selling. I can just continue doing what we're doing. And when Sean calls me up and says, hey, I saw your post on Instagram. I'd love to see, we talked to you about helping us buy a home. Hey, we're there. We're ready to help.
And that's actually very true. We did. I met you the first time like that. I was in the same local community. You had posted some great information. I said, that's great information. A couple months later, I saw you at this networking event. I thought, dude, I know this guy. I don't know where, but I know this guy. And he opened his mouth and started talking. I'm like, this is my neighbor.
Literally
my neighbor. I had no clue, but it worked. You're absolutely right, though.
Well, and I'll give you a perfect example. Obviously, right there, that one major road that we all drive on. I see that there is a survey company out there right now, literally, even in this cold, out there surveying property. I know what they're doing. They're expanding that for a brand new development that's coming in. That's the information that's so important to get out. How do I get that out to my neighbors, right? It's by being a part of that local neighborhood Facebook page. People want to know. People want to know and say, you know what? I don't want to, they may want to be here or they may not want to be here once this road opens up. Do they want to deal with that construction? Maybe, maybe not. They may already be tired and say, you know what? That might be that last, straw on the camel's back that says, you know what? We're ready to move. And so, if we can be the ones who's delivering that information, then all of a sudden we become that source of knowledge for the neighborhood and for the community. And that's our goal. If we can be that source of knowledge, people can come to us and say, hey, what's this new area coming up? Or better yet, we're the one telling them where that new area is coming up. Then that by default, we want to be their source when it comes down to all things Richmond, Rosenberg, Fort Bend County, you name it.
Absolutely, Keller. And that is exactly the same attitude that we like to have when it comes to businesses in Gent Forge, and just really being that not single source of truth like some folks try to pimp them out as, right? Like your average networking group, your average chamber, your mileage varies, of course, depending on where you're going, but really just bring together a collection of people that have the ability to help arrive at answers, not just provide a one-stop solution. And that really feels like you're talking our same language when it comes to that, to the people that you're focusing on. Well, guys, I wanted to point out real quick that down below you can go talk with Norbert over or see what he's been up to over at RiveraRealEstateGroup.com. Definitely check that out. And on top of that, tell us how we can get in touch with you, Norbert, outside of just the website. Where are you located at on social and all that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, we're really pushing our Instagram page. So same Rivera Real Estate Group. So that's GRP. So that's going to be our handle there on Instagram. Of course, we do have the Rivera Real Estate Group Facebook business page there. You can find us there. You can Google us. We're going to be number one in Google here in our local area. We love to continue boosting that up. But we're on every single platform. TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, or I guess X, LinkedIn. I mean, you name it. We're going to be out there. We love an opportunity to come meet you. And if you're local, I'm at First Cup Coffee company, usually off of FM 2977 here in Rosenberg. So born and raised here. So I'm usually here 3 days out of the week. So stop on by. Usually I get here around 8 o'clock. We're working till around 2, 3 o'clock here. And then we've got other appointments throughout the city that we go to. We try to service pretty much the west side of Houston. So if there's anything, around there, we're here to help out. We basically pride ourselves in kind of being that expert of all those different areas out here. we want to make sure that when people come in, they're getting the information. I remember when I bought my first house, I had no idea what I was doing. They told me to sign here, I signed. I had no idea what I was signing, and of course I was not in real estate at the time. But I want to make sure people that's not the experience that I want them to have. I want them to know what they're doing, what their options are, how does it affect them. So by the time that they're buying the house, there's no question. And it's a good, easy, seamless process to buying and selling their house. So that's our goal. That's our goal in this. And so you can follow us at any one of those, RiveraRealEstateGroup.com, on our Instagram, Facebook, X, we're here for you.
Perfect. The last thing I'm going to ask you to do, I'm going to ask you to give me your best elevator pitch. And I mean, just rail into it, and feel free to go as crazy as you want.
Well, I appreciate you not putting me on the spot with this, but I appreciate that.
No problem.
Hey, with Rivera Real Estate Group, our goal is to be your source of knowledge. Like I said, understanding that throughout this process, you've got to know exactly what's happening. You can't throw your head into that sand. You've got to take control. We're here to help make that real estate process seamless. From buying, selling, investing, you name it, we're here to help you out. We're experts in the area. We want to make sure that when you come into the house, this is going to be a house you feel good for the next 10 years. And when you're ready, you know who you're going to call. You're going to call Rivera Real Estate Group because you love the service that you received with us. You love the 5-star service that we've brought to you from our hotel background, knowing how to take care of our clients and managing their expectations. And we're going to do the same thing with respect and integrity. And we're going to be here to help out you, your family, your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, you name it. We're here to help you out.
Dude, you rocked it.
Thank you. See,
exactly. I try. Like I said, that was off the cuff. I mean, but no, we're here to help out. And that's at the end of the day, that's what it is. I mean, even if we get to the point, I've had people who've called us up and say, "Hey, what are we doing? How does this work? We don't know." I even had people that were under contract. I know we're finishing up. I'll make this real quick. A couple of years back, about 3-4 years ago, talking to my neighbor, they wanted to buy a house. They come to me and says, "Hey, we're thinking about this. We want to help out. Can you help us with this?" Sure. Send me over what you got. The home builders had them sign the contract. They did not even know they were under contract. That's not the way to do business. I'm not gonna say who the home builder is, but that's not the way business should be done, right? You need somebody to walk you through this process. And I was shocked. That they signed a document committing to buying a home. They had no idea what they were signing. And that's not the way to do business. We're here to help out. And I even helped them out even after that, because I just, we're just here to help out because we know that people are getting into situations that they don't really know and they need guidance, and we're to help out. And we're here, if all that goes well, then we know that they're just going to repay that favor. They're going to send us over some referrals, and we love to hear that.
Absolutely. And I love the idea of ethical business. That is something that I've preached when I was many moons ago, when I was an adjunct professor. This is something that I had big talking points about with all my students. I said, in video production, of course, it's a little different, but it's media, right? And media is rife with, I'm sure everybody understands, bias and all kinds of crazy stuff. So take that for what it is,
Right? It's about reputation. And, how can I go to either one of you two guys and say, "Hey, Joe, Sean, we'd love for you to go and send us over your referrals," but if my reputation is bad, you're never going to do that, and it only takes one thing here to ruin that reputation. You spent years and years and years to build up. And so that's why, whenever we go into different situations, it is a matter as to how do we make sure that we're treating our clients and our guests the right way, so you feel good about what you're doing. You can refer us to your family and friends. And ultimately, if we do our job, then we know that we're going to be getting those referrals.
Awesome.
Excellent.
And I want to make sure that before we go and before we leave, we talk about the March 6th event. Now, I know, Norbert, we had the pilot program and you weren't able to join, but March 6th is going to be our next actual launch of these free events, the GenForge launch event. It's empowering small business owners, completely free. We want people to join. The whole goal is to be able to come in as a small business owner and collaborate, solve problems as we all have issues within our business. You know, being able to network, but also learn some skills and some strategies from a lot of other small business owners, and of course, learn from industry experts like Norbert in the real estate market, right? Or learn about Joe and how he makes really cool animations, and it makes me scratch my head and wonder how we do that. But yeah,
Sometimes.
Please join us. GenForge.net, March 6th. We are looking forward to seeing you. 100-seat capacity. It will be online, and it's for 2 hours.
Yeah, that's great. I'm excited for it. I definitely want to check it out.
Awesome, guys. Well, we're going to be looking forward to getting that ball rolling as soon as possible. Don't worry, guys. Even if you do manage to miss the boat on one of the seats, there's a waiting list. Don't worry. We got you covered. Either way, in the meantime, guys, thanks again for joining us today. Norbert, thanks for dropping by. I really appreciate everything that I hope we can get a lot of traction and focus on you. And guys, if you liked what you heard today, I think what's fantastic is if you go and you say hi to the people that we bring onto the show. And if you want to be on the show, guys, feel free to join in, talk to us, go to any of the places that you saw we put up, go to genforge.net, talk to us there. Let's get connected. And what I want to definitely point out, guys, is we're not here just to talk about people who have existing businesses and stuff like that. We're here to try and help those that are thinking about it too. Again, a lot of talk today that had to do with just the mentality. Is it for you? And you know what, guys, it's okay if it's not for you, but you need to think about it first, right? And that right there, maybe it is for you, but you haven't thought about it, and so you're scared to even consider it. So these are things we all have to think about. Either way, guys, next time we come by, say hello. Even if after the fact you made it this far, you're one of the heroes, definitely say you made it this far down below. Follow us, like us, and remember, guys, we're here to forge your path to success. Take care.
At GenForge, we're more than a networking group. We're a community-driven initiative empowering small business owners to overcome challenges and build meaningful connections. By supporting GenForge, you're investing in workshops, resources, and networking opportunities that help local entrepreneurs thrive. Your contribution fuels innovative events, mentorship programs, and collaboration spaces that create lasting impact for businesses and the communities they serve. Together, we can forge stronger businesses and a brighter future. Join us in shaping the next generation of local success. Support GenForge today.